Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, with an instant reaction to Kirk Cousins' presser with the Las Vegas Raiders. What I'm going to give you is essentially my Cliff Notes version. I have 25 different note points that I want to be able to discuss today based on what the Raiders quarterback or potential quarterback did say today during his introductory press conference. Now, if you don't already know, we're going to provide videos every single day, whether you're a new Raiders fan, whether you're an old Raiders fan. If you bleed silver and black, I promise you this, you will become a smarter fan from watching the show. And if I don't teach you anything new, even if you don't become a new friend with somebody in our community, watch the show for a week. If you don't learn anything after a week, unsubscribe. You got absolutely, positively nothing to lose. So here we go. We're going to go through this presser reaction, and this is going to be in the order of when Kirk answered certain questions. But I do want to be very clear here. If you're a fan of the Raiders, you got to go watch the Kirk Cousins presser. It's probably one of the best pressers I've ever seen, and I have a whole new level of respect for Kirko Chains, and if you feel the exact same way, give me an 8 down below. Lots of respect for Kubiak. You heard it in his voice. You heard how excited he was to be able to work with his old coach, his old OC, his old quarterback coach from his Minnesota days. But there is no doubt about it, a level of respect from Cousins, and you can tell he's a high-level processor. Being able to work with somebody also like Klint Kubiak, that really got him excited. He did say that it was a privilege to be able to have somebody like Tom Brady be able to use him as a resource. Like, I know Cousins is kind of a nerd, and I mean that in a very well-respected way from watching him on the quarterback documentary series on Netflix. But when you have somebody that's kind of like a bookworm, kind of a nerd a little bit, don't you want to be able to have those extra resources, have those extra references? And the fact that he's got Tom Brady and the fact that Kirk and Brady have already a good relationship based on things that I'm hearing, that's a really good thing to see. Let's go to the next thing here. Basic rules are important. He said, obviously he's 37, about to be 38 years old. People expect that he already knows this Kubiak offense. But sometimes, when you're in that room, you hear basic things and you can have that at time you kind of tune it out because you go, oh, I know how to do that. Oh, I know how to do that. Cousins made it very clear the importance of knowing and understanding the basic rules, because when you understand the basics, it allows you to kind of take on, I think, some of those other bigger things that are thrown at you. But also the basics are what's important in a Kubiak offense. The basics are what's important. He said, in this part, he's talking to the Raiders offensive line coach, Rick Dennison. And if you know anything about the offensive line, the basics are what's important for a very skilled O-line. Then he said he's going to be taking notes like a day one rookie. And when he said that, I loved it, because I want him taking notes like a day one rookie, because I want his day one rookie notes to be very similar to what the Fernando Mendoza day one rookie notes are going to look like. I want them to be a sponge, and I want them to be working together as much as humanly possible. But when you have somebody that's going on his fourth team, when you have somebody that's made $341 million, you wonder what's going to be. Do they want it? How bad do they want it? And if I want Mendoza to be the best version of himself, you also need Kirk Cousins to grab the bull by the horns and kind of act like a rookie on day one. And I definitely feel like that we're going to get that day one rookie vibe in Kirk Cousins. Then he said it's important to have an identity. I love the fact that he said that, because, I used to always say the reason why you can't believe in Josh McDaniels is teams take on the identity of their leaders. And when you have a guy like Kirk Cousins, player coach, if he's going to take on that identity of Klint Kubiak, and if Klint Kubiak's going to preach, hey, man, it's about working hard, it's about showing up every single day, giving 110%, it's about being a team, it's a lot bigger than just yourself, that should really fire up a lot of Raiders fans. And I want Kirk Cousins to take on the identity of Klint Kubiak. I want Fernando Mendoza to take on that identity. And when you have a coaching staff that knows their identity, it allows the players to also buy into what you're selling. And if there's one thing that I remember about the NFL Combine, it was the amount of players that said, we know what the Kubiak system is. So if you're not fitting into the Kubiak system, that's a you problem, because it's been a proven successful thing, and he knows the identity of it. So what I want to know from all of y'all down below is just give me your general thoughts on Kirk Cousins' intro presser. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. I don't care if it's one word. I don't care if it's a sentence. I don't care if it's a paragraph. I just want to know your God-honest thoughts on Kirk Cousins and his intro presser with the Las Vegas Raiders. My initial thoughts are he's going to be a perfect mentor for Fernando Mendoza. He's an outstanding human being, and I'll just keep saying it. To get a guy like that at $1.3 million, it was a smart move by the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you didn't see the Kirk presser, go watch it, man. You're going to earn a whole new level of respect for Cousins. You're going to earn a whole new level of respect for the Raiders, and I think you're really going to be bought into what this team is doing this offseason if you're not already. Let's go to the next thing that he said that I love. He said it's a privilege to be a Raider, and it is. It is a privilege to wear the silver and black. It is a privilege to wear a shield. It is a privilege to be in the NFL. It is a privilege to be able to sit up here in front of an audience of people, and I think Kirk Cousins understood that that is a privilege, and he's excited for that next opportunity. He then said that Klint Kubiak's offense has evolved, and good. It should evolve. When you're going to different teams like the Saints, to the Seahawks, time in Minnesota, you're playing with different quarterbacks. Good coaches build around the players that they have. Bad coaches force the players into exactly their system. So to see that on the field over the past few years, and then for him to literally acknowledge the fact that the offense has evolved, I hope that it shows people that the Klint Kubiak offense is going to be a good offense this upcoming season. He said that Mendoza is a high-caliber person. Kind of spoke about that they met a little bit yesterday on Mendoza's top 30 visit. He did say in another interview, which I will talk about on another show that I've made. You guys will probably get that tomorrow morning if I had to guess. But he kind of, talked about that he was working with Mendoza yesterday. They were watching film together. And if there's one thing I guess I could say is the interview he did yesterday, it was like he basically flat out said that, Mendoza's going to be a Raider. Today it was more like, well, if I get the opportunity to play with them, we'll see. I'll say this, he clearly trusts Hondo Carpenter, Hondo and Kirk. They apparently were together at their days in Michigan State, and right off the bat, you could tell Kirk trusts them. And, I'm always going to be somebody that I'm going to give you my God-honest opinion. Hondo has not earned my respect. He has not earned my trust for a very long time. I am going to say this. When Kirk and anything that has to do with Kirk, if Hondo reports on it, I do wonder if that's something that we as fans should look at closer. And I only say that because if you watch that presser, Kirk Cousins clearly has trust, and he clearly respects Hondo from their times together at Michigan State. So even if Hondo have butted heads, and we've butted heads in the years past, I know he's not the biggest fan of me, and that's totally fine. I have nothing against him. I'm just going to say this. I think as a Raiders fan, my job is to give you my God-honest opinion, and my God-honest opinion is I think Kirk Cousins trusts Hondo Carpenter. So if Hondo's going to talk about Kirk, I'm going to listen a little bit closer. He said that he's feeling his best right now, and obviously, one of the question marks around Kirk is, how's your shoulder? How's the Achilles? How are you as a 37 about to be a 38-year-old man? And he said, he's feeling his best, but he's still got to go out there and he's got to prove it. And he doesn't want anything to be handed to him. And at the end of the day, I don't want anything to be handed to Kirk Cousins either. He said that Kubiak knows who he is. And when you know who you are, it allows you to keep that identity, which we talked about, a little bit earlier on the show. And he said, he's really excited to be able to get back to work with them because he knows who he is. And he's going to be able to help Kirk be the best version of himself. He did say that Clinton has picked up a few new things, which, again, I know I've talked about a few times already today, and I think that that's a really good thing. He said one of the statements that Kubiak made, and I don't remember the question exactly, but it was in terms of Kubiak knows who he is, that he's picked up a few things, and it was what's kind of the mantra, or what's something that Kubiak said to him yesterday, because if you don't remember, the Raiders started their offseason program, and he said something along the lines of shocking effort, that Kubiak wants shocking effort. Not just effort, but effort every single day, 365, and you're wow, that's a different level type of effort, because when you're able to show up and show out, everybody in the NFL is talented, but how can you be that 1% better? And I don't remember the other line that Cousins said, because Reed and I at the same moment, we looked at each other and we're wow, I love that. I love that he said that. But the other thing that I wrote down was shocking effort. And I do. I want to see a Raiders team have shocking effort on offense, defense, special teams, and the practice. I don't care what it is. Shocking effort. Clearly, big Brock Bowers fan. And I saw a interview with Cousins, and Cousins, was kind of saying that tight ends can be curveballs, and that Bowers might be the best curveball he's ever seen, and maybe, Brock Bowers can be that Barry Zito curveball. Shout out to the A's. I think, to me, when I think of a curveball, I think of Barry Zito curveball. But his family, his wife's side of the family, Georgia fans. And the fact that he's finally going to be able to play with Brock, he's excited about. He also said, it's important to know your teammates. He discussed how the NFL has made it kind of difficult, professional sports in today's day and age, trades, free agency, it kind of makes it difficult for you to be able to buy into your teammates. And now even in today's day and age of college football, you don't really get that. And, he spoke about how important it was for him at Michigan State with the Spartans to know your teammates, to know your players. And he does think that teams that are able to take that next step are guys that kind of buy in. And I fully believe that. It's important to know your teammates. It's important to know that they got your back. And at the end of the day, it's important to know that you're all kind of in that same exact mission and you're a big old family. And, hopefully when people watch this show, they know that the Raiders Report, we're a big old happy family. And if you want to show that you are a part of the family, you can get some Raiders Report merch by going to chatsports.com/RR shop. Whether it's a hoodie, whether it's a t-shirt, whether it's a Raiders Report hat, any type of memorabilia that you are looking for, if you are a fan of this program, if you're a fan of me, if you've made friends watching this show, I hope that you wear our Raiders Report gear loud and proud, and I hope that if you come up with an idea of more gear that you want to have, pop it to me, whether it's on IG, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's here on a live show. I don't care when it is. I want to be able to create gear that y'all like. So that link will be down in the comments, will be down in the description of today's program. Let's keep it moving here. This is the line that Reed and I looked at each other and we're like, dude, I love that. He goes, tough times don't last. Tough people do. And I love that he said that because think about the path that Kirk Cousins had to take to get to the NFL, right? He wasn't a highly recruited player. Went to Michigan State, had to earn it there. Was drafted behind RG3 with Washington, had to earn it there. You look at Aiden O'Connell. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. And Kirk kind of showed his flowers to AOC as being a walk-on at Purdue. Big Ten, looks like we're going to have a Big Ten quarterback room. But think about Tom Brady. Same exact thing. Drafted at 199 overall. Think about Fernando Mendoza. I know he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, but he was a 2-star recruit. He almost went to, I believe the school was Yale, and then he ended up getting that last-minute offer to Cal, and then he ended up, going to Cal. So, you're talking about a guy that's really had to be a tough-minded dude. And if Aiden O'Connell, Kirk Cousins, and Fernando Mendoza all have that mindset, I think it's going to be really, really exciting to see. Cousins did say that his best football is ahead of him, but did make it very clear that talk is cheap, that he's excited to be able to go out there and be able to prove it. He really gave a lot of flowers to Allegiant Stadium, to the Raiders facility in Henderson, said that it's next level, which I actually love the fact that he compared it to when the Minnesota Vikings, I don't know if y'all remember, they put in their brand new stadium. That's when Cousins was there. He said the first year that he was there was the brand new year of the Minnesota Vikings stadium, and he was like, even Allegiant, it's next level. And I love that he started talking about Al Davis quotes. Again, I think if you talk to any Raider fan, you look at Al Davis kind of the way that you look at your grandfather in a sense, where I don't care how you look at him. Al's looked at as almost like a superhero. I love the quotes that Kirk was referencing, and it was that extra level. It was that extra 1%. It was that cherry on top. And you never know how intro pressers are going to go, but if we're going to bring in a quarterback like Kirk to mentor Fernando, I want to know that he's going to notice that 1%. I want to know that he's going to have that attention to detail, and you're damn right. I love the fact that he was mentioning Al Davis quotes. He said that other quarterbacks are like a coach, and I love the fact that he said that as well because, he was saying when you come on the sidelines, you're coming off the field, you're talking to your other quarterbacks, hey, what did you see here? What exactly happened? And if you remember last year with Geno, I hate to keep bringing him up, but I think it's a great example to make. You saw Geno, he'd go to the bench, and he would just sit there and he'd pout. He wouldn't talk to anybody. He would be upset, and that's not what a leader does. That's not what a quarterback does. I think a great leader, a great quarterback, they want to be able to get better. They want to be able to talk to the other guys in the room. But, for him to say that his best years were when the quarterback room was strong, that if you didn't get a little bit, reading again, we were laughing because when he said that, I saw a comment on the live chat that was like, I'm bricked up right now. And you know what? You weren't the only one. I got bricked up too when I heard this because this is how you get the best version out of Fernando Mendoza. Your quarterbacks work together. They know that the importance of everybody working together, because when you have a really talented quarterback room, it kind of reminds me a little bit, a few months ago when we were talking a lot about Davis Webb. Davis Webb was a potential to be the Raiders head coach. Obviously, the Raiders ended up going with Klint Kubiak, but what made Davis Webb a very interesting person for this Raiders job and why he was, one of the front runners, came in second place, was because Davis Webb, when he did his when he did his interview, that's the word I'm looking for, he made it very clear that when he was a part of a quarterback room, whether as a coach or as a player, that quarterback ended up having the best years that they had. And it was very, very proven. Between Bo Nix, Daniel Jones, the numbers are there to prove it. So, I know that little statement there does matter a lot to John Spytek, Klint Kubiak, and the Raiders organization. He was asked about, the tackles and how great it is to be able to have a guy like Colton Miller. Said that he was very excited about Colton Miller because when you have a guy like Colton Miller, then, You don't get hit by guys like Max Crosby. So I was curious to see if Kirk was going to say anything about 98. I talked to some people today close to Max, and not about Kirk Cousins. It was something that I talked about earlier on our live show today. But, he showed love to Max, which I was happy to see. He did say that he's going to try to balance listening and learning and teaching because, he is learning a new offense with Klint. Yeah, there's some of I think he said it was like the guts are still the same, but there's still like some new things that he needs to be able to learn because, again, it's changing every single year. So for him, he was like, I'm taking the notes like a day one rookie. I'm going to be listening like a day one rookie. I'm going to be learning like a day one rookie. But I think without saying it, because, again, you could tell, and we saw a few people today were saying like, oh, you could definitely tell that somebody from maybe the Raiders, maybe his PR team was like, hey, man, pump the brakes a little bit on the Fernando's going to be a Raider type of talk, because he definitely yesterday was very much more Fernando's going to be a Raider. Today it was more like, oh, if I get the opportunity to play with him. But I'll say this. I know that we expect Kirk to be a mentor, and I still expect Kirk to be a mentor, but we also have to understand that he's also, trying to earn a starting job, and he's trying to listen and learn the Kubiak system to the best of his ability. Did say that he's really excited about working with Jalen Nailor. Nailor also came from Michigan State. No ties with Kirk, obviously, much different in age. But he did play 2 seasons with Jalen in 2022 and in 2023, I believe, were the 2 years. Or it was 2021. I think it was 2022, 2023. And Kirk was like, Jalen took most of his opportunities when presented to him. But I also love the honesty in Kirk's voice where he was like, listen, man, when I got Adam Thielen at that time and then also Justin Jefferson, I'm going to throw the ball to those 2 guys. And I also want a quarterback that, don't get me wrong, I want Trey Tucker to get involved. I would want Jalen Nailor to get involved. But if we're going to over-target Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers, and when I say over-target, I mean maybe overrun the ball with Genty and get the ball to Brock as much as humanly possible, let's put the ball in our best players' hands every single time. And then I'm just going to end it with this one. Kirk Cousins is just an outstanding human being. He's a great dude, great leader, great man, great father, follower of Christ, which I do think is, again, one of those little things of, do I care what religion my quarterback has? No, I do not care. But if we're talking about that 1%, the cherry on top, the fact that Kirk Cousins thinks and believes very similar to the way that Kubiak thinks and believes, again, and the way that Mendoza does, and Aiden O'Connell, again, we're talking about the 1%. We're talking about the cherry on top. And I'm sorry, but as bad as the Raiders have been, I'm going to take all the cherries. I'm going to take all the 1%. I'm going to take all the extra stuff that I can get, because I do believe when you know your identity and you can buy into that identity and you have the right people leading your group, truly, truly special things can happen. So I do believe that Kirk Cousins is going to be a great mentor for Fernando Mendoza. If you weren't 100% happy that the Raiders signed Kirk, I hope that after watching that intro presser, I hope that after you watch today's show also, you're like, dude, I'm fully in to the Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza, Aiden O'Connell quarterback room, because I promise you this, I am fully in, baby. I'm putting all the chips in the center of the table. And if anybody out there wants to pull up, I will be live this Friday. I kind of lied yesterday because I said I won't be live again till Friday happy hour. Well, Kirk Cousins presser means that your boy was going to go live today. No way. No way was I going to miss it. I will be live 3 p.m. Eastern time this Friday for Little Raiders Friday happy hour, unless some people take advantage of some of the deals that we got going on right now here on the Raiders Report.